Hi guys, my name is Sam and I'm the owner of Apex Recovery Room, which is a sports massage business, and I've been a gym owner for over 12 years. I also have ankylosing spondylitis. I've had it for as long as I can remember. I'm 35 years old right now. One great thing for me is that I think I have found what helps me out the most, and that is weight training. In this video, I want to tell you some of the ways that I have managed to stay completely off of medication and live a very normal life even though I'm having AS. Don't get me wrong, I understand that everybody is different and everybody is at different stages. But however, if you just implement some of these tips and tricks that I have been doing, I really believe that you can make a huge improvement to your AS. You don't have to be like this for ages. When I used to have my flare-ups very badly, yes, it got to the point where I'd have to be crawling on the floor to go and use the bathroom. I was in absolutely agony. It was ridiculous. However, without the weight training, I believe that I'd be in a much, much worse space. Don't get me wrong, I still have flare-ups maybe twice a year, but twice a year is pretty good. So if you stick around for this video, and we'll get into some of the best tips and tricks that I have for you to start your weight training routine, start feeling better, get better mobility, and just kind of kick a bit of AS in the arse. We want to have the goal of getting you into a gym at some point to start lifting weights. Okay, but if you are in a really bad spot, you're probably not going to be able to go to the gym, right? So we would start you off on a very, very basic level. What I mean by that is just trying to get you up and out of the chair around 3 sets of 10. Quite simple, but if you've got AS, it can feel quite hard. Then we would progress the exercise up. So I'd get you doing 3 sets of 10 with your hands on the chest to make it harder, so that way you can't use your arms. And then the same would go with basic exercises like having you sit down on the floor, which might send shudders up some people's spines, quite literally, to getting off of the floor again, maybe with a support. And then over the weeks and months without a support. Don't get me wrong, this is a long process, okay? Your body has probably been really tight and really stiff for so long now. It won't just be overnight, but if you stick with it, it will be the best thing that you can do. You will be so pleased you stuck with it. And in no time, you will be able to get into the gym and start lifting some weights. So stage number 1, your beginning stage, is the most boring stage, and sometimes it's the most painful stage. One thing that I have always lived by with my AS is that I never want to be feeling the discomfort go above about a 5 out of 10. 10 being extreme AS pain, 1 being I'm feeling absolutely nothing. I never wanted to be too scared of pain or discomfort, okay? But if it ever went near a 5 or above a 5, I would tone what I'm doing down. So let's use an example. Let's say, for instance, that I was doing a squat with a weight in front of me, and then I started to feel that horrible back and glute pain, and it was feeling quite bad. It was feeling around a 6. The first thing that I'm going to do is to make the exercise a little bit easier. Okay, but if I was feeling around a 3 out of 10, I would keep going through with it. What you have to do is you have to find your level. You have to identify your threshold. Do you pass a certain threshold point where if you carry on, you're going to be in absolute agony for the next few weeks and you're not going to be able to move, which means you're not going to be able to work out, which means your progress is going to go down. Take this with a pinch of salt, but you do have to find that level out. Yeah, it's a little bit painful and it sucks a little bit, but it will really help you gauge what you can do and what you can't do. My next tip is when you do get to the gym, is probably hire a personal trainer. However, pick a personal trainer that understands you or your condition. Not many people know what ankylosing spondylitis is, okay? Sometimes I even feel a little bit confused by it because the symptoms that you get are so random, right? But pick a personal trainer who you feel can work with you quite well. If not, an online coach. There's many of us out there. When you get into the gym, what I would advise first of all that you do is that you do an extremely basic routine, okay? Nothing too hyper specific to AS. But what I mean by this is literally just get in there and start lifting weights on the machines. I say machines because it's a lot easier at the beginning than, for instance, trying free weights where you'll have a barbell on your back or something and it's not in a machine. It involves a little bit more skill, a little bit more core stability. So let's just, it gives more chance of risk of injury in a sense, just because you're not going to be very used to it, okay? And you don't want to be squatting with a heavy bar on your back and then suddenly your back twinges and then, well, you've made everything a lot worse. A machine will give you stability from the machine, and there's a very low chance that you can hurt yourself. For instance, if you are doing a leg extension, doesn't feel quite right, you can lower the weight right down. And also, if you were doing a leg extension and suddenly something went in your back, you're not going to like collapse on the floor like you would with a barbell back squat and then get your neck stuck under it. So I would spend a few weeks, a few months just going through some of the machines at first, okay? But our goal is to get you lifting free weights, to get you just lifting almost like everyone else does, within reason. Once I start building up that muscular strength in my legs and my back especially, and my glutes, then I'm going to start doing more specific work for AS. Now, this is where it gets super interesting. Right now at this point, you're still not going to be superhuman. You're probably going to still be feeling some of your symptoms, but I'd like to think that you're going to be feeling a lot better. So the first thing that I would be programming into your session is that you want to have one heavy lift in your session. Before everyone shoots me for saying a heavy lift, saying I can't do heavy, please don't think of it in the sense that you are going to be having a really heavy weight and you're going to be grunting and screaming in the gym like a power lifter to lift it up. No, it's what's heavy for you as someone suffering with AS. For some people, just picking up a book off the floor, that feels very, very heavy. For some people, picking up the 20 kilogram dumbbells, even if they've got AS, could feel really, really heavy. Everybody is different. The reason why I want you though to focus on getting at least one very heavy movement in is because that is what is going to really start building the muscle, and it's going to start building strength for you to deal with everyday life and to start feeling better. There's many other reasons why you should also pick a heavy movement, but for the sake of this video, that's our main one. The second exercise in your workout routine, I would want you to be doing definitely a back workout, a back movement, okay? So, big one for me is the hyperextension. For many people with AS, that would be probably too much for them to focus on. So we might spend a little bit more time on the machine exercises that's going to do your back. But however, at this stage, we want to be creeping you into more free weights. Your workout routine is going to be looking different to everyone else in the gyms. So for instance, a really good back one would be a deadlift. However, I'm completely aware that deadlifting is kind of out of the question for a lot of people. But I would have you deadlifting with the weights that are on a platform, so you don't have to bend down as far to lift them up. So we can still work the muscles that we're looking to, but we're reducing the risk of a flare-up, we're reducing the risk of injury. Okay, but we get to use the free weights. Why do we want to use free weights, and why do I keep going on about them so much? Is because they do mimic more everyday life scenarios. It's very rare that you sit in somewhere out in the street or at home in a machine. We want to get the core muscle stabilizing, but more importantly, when you lift free weights, you have to think about your body positioning. You have to become hyper aware of it. That is going to really help people who suffer from AS. So we've done one high strength movement, we've done one kind of specific movement for your back, okay, because that's predominantly where you're going to be getting a lot of the pain. And now the third one, I really want to be getting us in to some rotational exercise. So what I mean by that is where we twist and we turn in different planes of motion and planes of movement. The thing is, when you think about a lot of exercises in the gym, such as squats, where you have the weight on your back, you squat down, or press-ups, it's always in one plane of movement. I've had clients before who have worked with other PTs where they have been trying to get their back stronger. They think it feels great, they sit on the toilet, they lean over for the toilet roll and the back goes. Why is that? Well, a lot of the time they never trained any rotational movements, so their body's not used to it. They're getting really strong in this plane, but in this plane, they suck. So when something like that happen? When you're looking behind in the car, when you're picking something up, when you're on the toilet. So the third exercise that I would like you to sort of be doing is a rotational movement. That could be any. It could be a cable machine where you're lifting it up. It might be a cable machine where you're putting it like that. It might be a medicine ball. Once again, it depends how much pain you are in and your threshold, like we spoke about earlier in the video. If the threshold for lifting a cable machine like that is too much for you, don't do it, but one day we will get to it, I promise you. You might then just need to basically use an extremely light dumbbell and just hold it at your chest and twist. But let's get that back moving, let's get the spine moving, let's get some fluidity, if that's even a word really, into your spine. We just want to get yourself moving to not feel so tight. The fourth one, And this one is not going to suit everybody, but it's one that I have found that has worked best. Is doing exaggerated movements sometimes. What I mean by that is, let's take the deadlift for example again. Let's say for instance now you can lift a dumbbell off of a bed like that, and you can deadlift it up. So if you don't know what deadlifting is, just go and look it up, it will really help for this video. The fourth thing that I'll be doing is trying to increase the range of motion. So for instance, I might have you standing on a platform about this high, okay? You'd be standing on top of it with the weight in front of your hands like this, and you would bend down and you would go past your feet. Does that make sense? So the dumbbells go past your feet. The great way of training like this is it also increases your flexibility and it increases your strength in these almost compromised ranges of motion, okay? We want to get you what I would call as bulletproof as possible and as strong as we possibly can. What I don't want to do with you is I don't want to get you onto too many machines now at this stage, and I don't want you to become really tight because of the weight training. I still want you to be getting nice stretches throughout the legs, and we can get a stretch and weight training together. Now that is perfect. That is probably like our ultimate goal. Let's take press ups for instance. Floor is great, but we can only press up as far to the floor, right? So if I have you on handles and we can get you pressing up past the range of motion, amazing, because we're going to start working a little bit of mobility now. Look guys, this is just a really short sort of video about things to do. Working with people who have AS as a personal trainer, it involves a very sort of specific training routine to each person individually. Everyone I have worked with has always been so different. Some people are at pretty good levels, like myself, where I can do everything really without any sort of AS threat. And there's people that just need to look at a dumbbell and their back's pinned off. But trust me, you can definitely do it. You just have to go through it slowly. You have to find your threshold and you have to have a plan. If you do want any help with this, please just put a message in the comments, or I don't know, can you private message on YouTube? Something like that, or find Apex Recovery Room online and just send me an email through there. I would love to help you online and we can see what we can do.